I highly suggest for all of you who watch this video to go rewatch, or maybe if you've never seen it before, go watch Star Wars Rogue One, just so you can see how underrated and unappreciated this movie was. Back when nobody asked for a film like this, it didn't even seem interesting to go see it because we were all spoiled, used to the big blockbuster stories with the Jedi and the Force and the Clone Wars, but nobody expected this film to be such a hidden gem, especially the year before. In 2015, The Force Awakens released and everyone was coming off a huge high, moving on to the new generation of Star Wars. And at this time, The Force Awakens showed promise for the future because it actually wasn't that bad. It was a pretty good movie in my opinion, and it actually showed promise.
Wait. Traitor!
Rogue One just seemed unnecessary, like Disney was just trying to squeeze every dime out of Star Wars. I mean, they are, but this film, directed by Gareth Edwards, was different, shocking everybody and showing us that stories without the Jedi, Sith, the clones, and classic characters can be good too. It gives you that old school Star Wars feeling. And it makes sense that this movie was directed by Gareth Edwards. He does a great job with scale. He's also directed one of my other favorite movies, Godzilla, the first one. Great set design, cinematography, music, and CGI. It has insane visuals while maintaining that old school effect.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Along with fantastic acting.
This is Rogue One calling any Alliance ships that can hear me. Is there anybody out there? This is Rogue One, come in, over.
Send my guard squadron into battle. 2 men with me now. Get that beast under control.
Along with fantastic acting and some of the best action scenes in Star Wars history, especially during the era of the Empire's rule. It takes a ton of characters and handles them so well. Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, Chiru Imwe, and Baze Malbus. Every character plays their role perfectly, even the droid K2SO. You end up liking some of the characters so much that you wish that they didn't have to die. Even the bad guys are so much fun to watch. Seeing Director Krennic and General Tarkin have their petty arguments is so good.
And I thought it prudent to save you from any potential embarrassment.
Your concern's hardly warranted.
If saying it would only make it so.
We stand here amidst my achievement, not yours!
Because they portray how these dudes would really act in this environment so much better compared to Kylo and that other guy. I don't even remember his name. Those two were like children, and these two OGs are older, wiser, pettier, and their presence on screen is just so much more powerful and entertaining.
Are we blind? Deploy the garrison! Move!
Everything just makes sense in this movie. It all happens for a very clear and logical reason that is justified and not dramatized. This film surprised audiences and ended up with a Rotten Tomato score of 84%, and that's really good comparing it to the big dogs in the new trilogy. Then on top of all that, the music brings it all together, adding that final touch.
Fire on my command!
Even though the soundtrack wasn't created by John Williams this time around, Michael Giacchino fills in his place spectacularly. I believe he actually added a few great additions to the Star Wars sound.
The Rebel flagship is disabled, my lord, but has received transmissions from the surface.
Then combining some of his themes with the original trilogy themes to really make some beautiful pieces. The music amplified the action scenes, and at times it really felt like I was watching the original trilogy directed by George Lucas. Now let's start with the action because it is almost unmatched. Visually, I'd argue it's one of the best looking Star Wars films to date. And because your attention span sucks, I need to feed you the juiciest info first, because according to the stats, most of you will leave this video before you're even 5 minutes in. So that's why we're gonna start with the action. There's so many things that make the action in this film amazing. We get land battles along with space battles that coincide with each other. It's almost like playing the original Battlefront, where what's happening in space matters and is important for handling the problems on the ground. We see them attacking shields with attack runs using that Y bomber, then taking down antennas on the Star Destroyers, all to help the rebels on the ground. Everything in these action sequences have a cause and effect, and when you combine that with the CGI, the look and the feel of the original Star Wars, it makes something beautiful.
All flight personnel, please squadron leaders en route. May the Force be with you.
Speaking of the look and feel of Star Wars, they even used the original footage from the cockpits of the actors from the original trilogy, and it gives it even more of an authentic feeling.
This is Gold Leader, standing by.
This is Red Leader, standing by.
Stick close, Red 5. Where are you going?
It brings the original trilogy's space and land battles back to life with a fresh and updated look. Characters have to make big sacrifices and make big decisions during these action scenes as well, adding more drama and emotion to these huge battles. One of my favorite scenes is when the rebels use a Hammerhead Corvette to push down a Star Destroyer to destroy the shield gate. It's very creative and intriguing to see how you may have to improvise in a Star Wars battle setting. This movie did a great job making you understand the sacrifices rebel soldiers have to make and what it really means to be a rebel fighter. A war type aspect is added to the final action scene, almost like a World War II film, but in the Star Wars universe. This movie has so many creative scenes and concepts, like the Death Star arriving out of hyperspace and hovering over a planet, then watching the entire sequence from it arriving, powering up, firing. It's all so scary and daunting to see the type of power the Empire had and to know it all came down to such a close call thanks to our characters' heroic sacrifice. Then Darth Vader's ship arrives out of hyperspace and immediately rams into other ships. I can appreciate them playing with how hyperspace and the possibility of what can happen if you aren't careful or just careless, then visually delivering that. And Vader did not care when he pulled up. He immediately got straight to work for possibly the greatest Darth Vader scene ever. I will never forget how the theater reacted to this unexpected scene. The entire last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie was perfect, and Vader was just the cherry on top since it was such a huge surprise for the audience. I had no idea it was coming. It's almost like they said, hey, here you go, here's a little treat for being such good Star Wars fans. And we ate it up, we loved it, and people cheered for this scene. It was so hype. The very final scene where the plans are handed to Leia felt so nostalgic, just like the originals, picking up where it left off in the first movie.
Make sure you secure the airlock and prepare the escape pods.
What is it they've sent us?
All of our characters are killed off in this movie, but the way the film ends makes you feel warm inside as they hand the plans over to Leia, which in the end, we all know that leads to the rebellion's victory, making everything feel earned and tying up loose ends left by the original trilogy, filling that gap between the prequels and the original. Most of us didn't ask for this or even knew we needed this, but I am so glad we got it. The characters in this film is really what helped make it special, because without them working correctly, nothing in this works. And it would have stained the original trilogy if they had messed up in any way. No character ever felt like they were forced in the story. They all just worked. Jen's character arc is very interesting as she battles with deciding if she's going to fight for the rebellion with everything that's already happened to her, and ultimately the events through the movie help her make this decision. Saw Gerrera and her father Galen shows her why it's worth fighting back, and it actually makes for a really well done emotional scene that's pretty convincing as the two most important people in her life push her to fight.
So much of my life has been wasted. I try to think of you only in the moments when I'm strong because the pain of not having you with me
Andor gives us a different view of a rebel soldier who's not so friendly or morally or politically correct all the time. Someone who's willing to kill and make morally ambiguous decisions. He shows us the gray area of fighting in the rebellion when shady things need to be done for the greater good. That it's simply not good versus evil. And at the end of his character arc, he ends up doing what is right for the rebellion and puts his life on the line, when in the beginning of the film he was killing others to make sure that he isn't killed and to make sure the rebels' plans aren't compromised.
Relax, Captain. We've been in worse cages than this one.
This is a first for me.
There is more than one sort of prison. I sense that you carry yours wherever you go.
Chiru was definitely my favorite character in this movie. He's just so cool, and what was there not to like about him? A blind monk that's a highly skilled fighter, and with that he uses a stick to beat the stank out of stormtroopers.
Is your foot all right?
On top of that, he's very spiritual, always preaching about faith in the Force. He's one of those characters that you want a TV show about that tells us his backstory, or a TV show about him and Baze Malbus, because their chemistry was just so good together.
Hey! Hey! Wolves! Run!
Imagine a buddy cop film of just the two of them. That would be amazing. Baze Malbus is another scary dude that's all about killing.
Who's the one in the next cell?
An Imperial pilot. I'm gonna kill him! No, wait! Come here! No!
Basically the opposite of Chiru. Baze has his doubts in the Force. He's more based and grounded. He wants to take a more realistic perspective on things instead of believing in hope in the Force.
Really? He's praying for the door to open.
It bothers him because he knows it's possible.
Despite all of that, you know he'll still be there to do what's right at the end of the day. He's one of those guys who the Force just uses all the way till the end, where his arc ends with him finally believing in the Force after watching his best friend die and do incredible things due to his faith in the Force.
Baze Malbus was once the most devoted guardian of us all.
The Force is with me. And I'm with the Force.
Baze is also just super cool because he's like your heavy artillery or support guy, a ton of armor and a crazy blaster that he's able to take out so many bad guys at once with, especially the shadow troopers who are highly trained. That blaster that he had was crazy, by the way. It was a repeating cannon called the Staccato Lightning. And finally, K2SO, the comedic relief, lovable droid. And surprisingly, he had some good jokes.
Did you know that wasn't me?
And that's what's always needed in a Star Wars movie. This film does such a good job at building these characters that you even care for the droids, not wanting them to die either. At the end of the day, this movie brought together this band of bandits who embody the meaning of rebellion, rebelling even against their own leadership to do what's right. It brings all of these interesting characters together to make an interesting story about the heroes who actually saved the galaxy. I'm also very happy that Galen, Jyn Erso's dad, got his happy ending. He got to see his daughter one last time and found peace in his death, knowing that his message has been relayed and that hope still remains in the galaxy, tying together yet another loose end. I will never forget the scenes of Vader in this movie. They are some of the most iconic and prominent scenes of Vader in all of Star Wars cinema. They show just how cool he is, how dope his design is, and how intimidating he is.
Director Krennic.
And finally, just a glimpse of how powerful he was. I couldn't imagine just being a normal stormtrooper in the presence of Vader, knowing what he's capable of. Imagine being one of those stormtrooper attacking with Vader in the front lines. Man, the stories you'd be able to tell with your buddies after deployment, nobody would believe you. Yeah, then he picked up this guy with one hand and slams him against the roof while blocking shots from the other rebels. He slices him up top and keeps fighting. Man, that would be hilarious. Rogue One as a whole felt more mature, more like a serious Star Wars movie, and I think this vibe is what carried over into the Andor series. The character arcs actually landed, even all of the supporting cast. Everyone felt like they earned their place in their roles. The acting was great, even when the script had its boring moments. The villains weren't cartoonishly evil, and all of the decisions and dialogue were believable, all while respecting Star Wars without playing it safe. And I'm telling you, you definitely need to go rewatch this because it's way better than what you remember.